And by 1 minute, I meant 30 seconds. So, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's live on ServiceNow webinar event focusing on improving technician productivity with the mobile agent app. My name is Rob Schaefer. I'm the product management director for the field service product. I am based out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin. I've been supporting field service organizations for a little over 30 years now. I'm very excited to be able to present this webinar to you today. The purpose of the presentation is to support both of our customers and our implementation teams in better understanding field service management capabilities, as well as the value, and to provide useful information around the implementation and configuration process. Today, we're going to focus on that mobile experience. As always, we present the safe harbor statement because this presentation may contain forward-looking statements that reflect the current beliefs of ServiceNow and are based on current information available. These forward-looking statements, of course, should not be relied upon in making purchasing decisions. Today's session is part of the Live on ServiceNow curated event series to connect you with ServiceNow experts, with peers that can help you deploy your products and achieve faster value. We hope you join us again at other webinars or meetups. You can see the schedule by scanning the QR code or using the link that should be posted in the chat by Aisha. And specifically for field service, we have a webinar coming up in August that I'll be presenting with one of my counterparts on support for our contractors, for leveraging contractors, extending your field service organization, for onboarding and managing third-party service organizations, for defining the capacities that each of those contractor organizations can support, for scheduling against those capacities, scheduling those contractor organizations, and supporting contractor debrief via a contractor portal or via the mobile app, including offline access. I'm hoping you'll join us for that. I'm pretty excited about that webinar as well, and I've got 2 months to prepare for it. So, a few housekeeping notes. We have time at the end for Q&A, but you can chime in anytime with that Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. I'll be watching my screen and my slides and presenting, so I won't get to those questions until the end. But please feel free to chime in along the way. The presentation is being recorded, as hopefully you all saw. You got that notification, and we'll post it on the ServiceNow community. And then please, 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 after the event is over, we're going to send a survey. This is where we get an opportunity to learn, boy, the presenter was really boring. Or this would be great if you focused on these other areas. Or I would love to see this format used for this other specific topic. Please give us, be cutting, be clear, let us know how we can help you. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk about, and by we, I mean me, we're going to talk about the technician experience, what's relevant for them, what challenges they face, and then we'll go right into the mobile agent app. And I'll go through a number of different scenarios that both technicians face in the field, as well as administrators face when setting up an application like ours. Then we'll close up with some next steps and go into the Q&A. So let's start with the technician experience. So today, as I review field service management, our goal is to better understand the role of the technician, their challenges, and how the mobile app helps them meet their objectives. And we can start by taking a closer look at work order management. The role of the technician is challenging, but can be exacerbated by all these moving parts, right? Look at the different work order types, and different task types have different needs, different durations, different parts, different skills, maybe different types of equipment, specialized equipment that are required, or maybe they require a crew. Maybe there are different safety and compliance checks that require different levels, more stringent levels of documentation. So there's a lot of detail to each work order out there. And technicians can't always remember all of this because of all these different moving parts. So we need to make the process as clear as possible and easy to document. We need to reduce the administrative burden on our technicians. And imagine the difficulties a technician would face without much of this information available on a mobile device, for example. When I first started, everything was pretty much paper-based, right? And so filling out in duplicate or triplicate and getting all sorts of different levels of signature and making sure you don't lose anything or spill coffee on it. It was really, really painful. It was a whole different level of challenges. But even today, the challenges are significant. So with technology, we can automate so much of that and reduce that administrative burden. So let's go to my next slide. When we think of the technician, what do technicians want and need to not only be productive and efficient? Well, they want to be able to complete their work on that first visit. And they don't want to have to contact a peer. Boy, I don't have the information I need, or this isn't very obvious to me. So who do I call? Do I contact a peer? Do I contact the dispatcher? Do I contact customer service? Maybe different groups depending upon what I need. Maybe I contact service operations or product management or product quality based on the information that I need that's not available to me. So they want the information they need. They want the knowledge available to them that is needed to complete that work. They also want to be able to complete that work regardless of the situation, if they're connected or if they're offline, if they find themselves without connectivity. They don't want to write things down on paper or on a laptop and then have to re-enter at a later time. They don't want to use different systems based on the scenario. And they want to be accurate in that. But that accuracy might come at a cost. It takes me a lot of time to document that process. Well, then how accurate am I going to be? Can we ensure that our technicians are going to want to and be willing to enter that level of detail? And finally, they want their inventory to be accurate. They want to make sure they're not surprised by being assigned to a job where the company thinks I have the part, but that's not reflected in reality with what I actually see in my van or my trunk stock. So, they want to be able to have confidence in their inventory. And then they need to be able to accommodate any types of changes, any emergencies and exceptions that arise throughout the day. So let's think about the challenges and what that means. And I'm going to go into each of these in greater detail in just a few moments. But really, I need access to the data. I need confidence in my stock, in my inventory, and I need to be able to do my work regardless of the connectivity experience. So let's consider visibility to data. If I'm a technician and I'm out on site working on a piece of equipment, it would be in my best interest to know that Joe was out here yesterday performing a preventive maintenance on the same piece of equipment, or was out here doing the same work, addressing the same work, but maybe something happened and it failed again. So maybe Joe only addressed the symptom rather than what the true root cause was of that issue. It's important that I have access to that level of information. I want access to asset data like the subcomponents, the maintenance schedule, the service history, the entitlements. You can actually see up on the screen here for a particular account. I want to see those level of details, its assets and entitlements. Or for an asset, I want to see its subcomponents and its service history. So I guess I would like you to consider the information that your technicians get tripped up on because they don't have access to, or the level of information that they get about that piece of equipment or whatever it is just isn't sufficient. Where are those, either those bottlenecks or those shortcomings? The next is part availability. Yes, I want access to real-time visualization, a real-time reflection of what's in my trunk stock. But I also need an easy way to designate what is available on hand versus defective that I may need to return. I want access to not just my inventory, but I want PUDO, pickup drop-off lists. I need to go to stop at a warehouse and pick up these parts. And by the way, here are some parts I have in my drop-off list that I need to drop off at the same location. I want to be able to manage what I've actually consumed. I've consumed this stock on this work order. I've also removed these components from this work order, and this one is returnable, this one is scrappable, etc. There may be situations where I need to request stock from someone else. I don't have the part that's needed, but Sarah does. So I'm going to request from Sarah directly from my mobile app. Hey, Sarah, I see you have this part. Can we meet at Panera over lunch and let me transfer that part to me and be able to accurately document that so that there's no inventory discrepancies, that our data doesn't get skewed. And then sometimes I need to create my own part requests. No one else has that stock available. I need to either request a part or procure a part. So procure it from one of our authorized suppliers. And then connectivity, right? You never know. You may know what my guaranteed no coverage zones are. When I drive from Milwaukee down to Chicago, there are 2 spots that I know I'm going to be without coverage along the way. However, there are times when I'm fully expecting to be in coverage and something happened. Their network has gone down, or whatever network would normally be available just isn't available. Or I'm in a lead-lined room or a sub garage or sub basement where I just don't have that access. So I need to be able to do all of that traditional work. Maybe not everything, but I need to do my base level job of my debrief, documenting that I've started travel, started work, documenting my safety inspections, my lockout tagout procedures, my any other types of checklists, my parts consumption, my time recording, my expenses or incidentals. Those traditional debrief processes I need to be able to do even when I'm offline. And I need it to be easy once I go offline. I don't want to have to take any extra steps. When I'm offline, just let me know I'm offline, but don't make me do anything special. Just let me continue as if I were online. So those are my challenges. I believe we've got a poll. You should, if you can share that. So out of those challenges, and there may be others, but out of those 3, access to data, accuracy of inventory, and supporting online debrief, what do you see as the biggest challenge faced by your organization? There's also the ability to select other. And if you do have one that you want to add as other, just add it to the chat. So I'd love to see how you are envisioning this. So I can see as this is building out, we're not getting much about access to the data. So that's good. But I'm seeing some questioning on inventory, more about the debrief process. And then there's other. We'll take a look at what that other is in a moment as well. I'll give it another minute. Please make sure if you select other, add that to the chat. That will be very useful for us to know. All right, I'm going to end the poll in about 10 more seconds. And here we go. I'm going to share the results. All right, so debrief is the bigger issue here, but inventory and then whatever the other is as well. And I didn't see any update on that. So, all right, thank you for responding to that. Let's start moving forward. We'll go to our next slide then. Aisha, I'm still seeing the poll, and I'm sharing other slides. So
it's ended. It may be. Do you have two monitors open?
Oh, you know what? It was on my mobile device. I had to manually close down the poll.
Perfect.
So I'll be demoing from my mobile device in a few moments, and that's why I've got second. And that's why you see me looking off to the side every now and then. All right. So the ServiceNow agent app, guess what? If you don't have ServiceNow today, you can still download the mobile agent app. You just type in ServiceNow agent. It's free from the Apple App Store or from Google Play. It even includes a demo mode. I'll show you how you can invoke that mode as well, so you can try it out. But if you have ServiceNow Field Service, you can point the app directly to your ServiceNow instance and start working right now. Later on, I'll be showing you the configuration steps to get you going. So with that in mind, let's go into the app overview demo. I'd like to review some of the scenarios that I'll be walking through to address the technician experience, and they revolve around two users, our field service technician, Teddy Taylor. They work on their tasks, they manage the debrief, they debrief their work, they manage their calendar. Maybe they have control, maybe you're assigned a bunch of work, but not at any given time, so maybe you can manage the schedule as well. But you also manage your calendar from submitting time off requests or your timesheet. And then, of course, Teddy manages his inventory, his personal stockroom, the pickup drop-off process, etc. And so we'll go through a number of scenarios from Teddy's perspective. Beyond that, we also have the administrator. He or she is the one who sets up that mobile app. It defines offline rules for caching, and then decides based on feedback from the business, from the technicians, what other levels of data that you need access to, whether it's field level or object level, or even actions. Maybe we want an action within this work order. We want to click a button, and that's going to kick off this particular action within the debrief process, for example. And then they can define whether or not those objects, that data, or those actions are going to be available while they're offline as well. So it's very easy to configure the mobile app if you've got some specialized use cases as well. So there are 4 scenarios I'm going to show. First, I'm just going to give you a mobile overview demo, which isn't showing you process. It's going to show you some of the data and actions that are available. The second scenario is where Teddy's going to take over and he's going to start his day. He's going to debrief some work orders. He's going to manage some inventory and finish his day. The third is a similar scenario for Teddy, but as part of that workday, he suddenly finds himself without internet connectivity. And we need to see what happens, how that transition to offline occurs, what he can, and just as important, what he can't do while offline. And then we'll take a look at things from the perspective of the administrator. Now that you've seen all this, how do we actually set this up? What do we have to do to enable it? And then if we want to further configure it, how do we do that? So the first scenario is just a high-level overview demo. We're going to look at who my team is. We're going to manage our inventory by reviewing and managing those pickup and drop-off transactions and part requests. We're going to look at the work schedule to review the assignment. They might record time off and manage their timesheet. And then we can talk about how they're going to initiate that work. But that's going to lead us into the next scenario. Now, there may be some times in the field as well where we've got some feedback. And so maybe we're browsing the knowledge base and we want to make some commentary on it. Maybe we want to give it a thumbs up or a 5-star, or maybe we want to comment that, boy, this would be much more useful if it had pictures, or here's another related scenario that I've seen in the field, so I would enhance this knowledge article. So they provide feedback and then share that so that knowledge manager, knowledge librarian, or whatever role you have can take a look at any of those pieces of feedback and take action on. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to try to start sharing from my mobile device. And Aisha, if you can let me know when you can see the agent app.
I don't see it quite yet. I'm not sure if you have to stop sharing from your computer and then start sharing from your mobile device.
All right, here we go. You should be able to see it.
Yep.
All right. And I'm going to move this off to the side. Now, one of the first things I might want to do, and there are a lot of different actions and areas I can go from here, but you might notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's an ellipsis to the right of the My Work section. If we click on that, you can see that there are some things that are ubiquitous. I can always get to. I might want to denote that I'm on shift, I'm starting my shift, or I'm taking a break. So once I click on shift, then it will give me an option to say off shift or on break or whatever those options are. I could also launch our virtual agent, and a virtual agent allows you to define chatbot conversations. Like maybe I want to, when I got to a location, we found out that this asset was supposed to be in room 104 and it's actually now in room 206. So instead of navigating around and trying to make those changes, maybe I have a virtual agent conversation that walks me through that process and updates that transaction for me. This also supports hands-free mode as well. There's also recommended tasks. So sometimes I had a job that was supposed to take 3 hours and I got there and I was done in 15 minutes because it was diagnosed incorrectly and I was able to fix it. So now I've got a gap in my schedule. I could either jump ahead to the next job, or I could click recommended task, select a window, and the system could feed me a task that I'm eligible to support in that gap, in that window. So a number of different things that I could invoke from there. However, I've got my, across the top, I've got these different icons that allow me to take different actions to see maybe my group or team's tasks, see all of those tasks and transactions that are available. I could look at my own schedule and I could see the upcoming work. I could maybe, let's go to this Friday, and I could click the ellipsis to create a time off event. Beyond that, I could also look at my tasks and my task map. So here I have visibility to the different tasks to which I've been assigned. And I could look at them in list mode or toggle back to map view at any time as well. I can look at any equipment that's been assigned to me. So maybe a drone or a lift truck that I need to check out or check back in once it's completed. I could look at work that I've recently completed. Or maybe I'm out in the field and I see while I'm fixing something, customer says, hey, Rob, as long as you're out here, or Teddy, I guess I'm Teddy Taylor, while you're out here, can you take a look at this piece of equipment as well? So instead of, digging around and typing in a serial number, maybe I click on the asset lookup and I scan in the barcode and submit it, and it recognizes what the part is or what the equipment is. I can drill on it. You can see at the bottom of the screen, I can create a work order for that. I can view details about it. Maybe I want to look at the related list to see what subcomponents are in there. Maybe I want to see the history, the completed and upcoming, the preventive maintenance schedule, the entitlements, all of that. So a lot of different things that I can do. And when we're offline, some of these things just aren't going to be available. My task map, if I'm offline, I don't have access to maps, for example. So you'll notice that's grayed out, or actually just lighter, to show that it designate that it's not available. When I look at my task map, by the way, again, I can toggle between the different locations, but I might want to modify the route and say, hey, there's got to be an easier, better way to do this. So now it changes the order in which that they're assigned, instead of me jumping back and forth across that territory at any time. So we're going to focus on the debrief process in the next scenario. But for now, I just want to look at a few of these scenarios. So we are going to drill into one of these tasks. This full keypad and display failure gives me details about the work order, and I can scroll through it and see those details. I could drill into the account and see any of its details. I can look at the asset, this VersaLink, and look at any of the details about this as well, any history, any of those subcomponent level details, etc. Again, we'll go through that debrief later on, but I just wanted to give you a high-level overview of all of that. So we can go and look at our inventory as well. So here I have, for my inventory, I have 9 types or SKUs. So I've got blade fuses. I'm going to click on that. I have a quantity of 20 of those. I've got 33 Cat6 cables. Some of these, however, because those are all consumables, some of these are assets. So I can see I have a quantity of 2 of the Analytics Systems IPS 2000 DC inverters. So I can see the serial or asset tags for each of these. These are all available for me to consume on my work order. Let's go back in there for a minute. So I showed all the available, what's available in my trunk stock, but on the right up here, I've got this defective button. So I can see what is defective, this Acme router. And I can take a look at it and say, you know what, I need to add that to my drop-off list. So when I go to, let's see, I'm going to go to my San Francisco pickup drop-off down here. So now I've said, next time I get to that location, that's part of my pickup drop-off list. In fact, if we go into part transfers, you're going to see I have a pickup available in San Francisco at one of the stock rooms, but I also have 4 items that I need to drop off at different locations as well. So those are my pickup and drop off. I may have part transfers as well. So maybe I'm getting a peer swap from someone else, or maybe that there's a transaction that is going to be shared with me based on these different part requests. So a lot of different things that I can do from that inventory perspective. I may also want to look up a part. I need to find a part that I don't have in stock. So I'm going to search for this model. I'm just going to type in, I know it's an NFC, and I'll search for that. It's the Wacom NFC board, and I want it within 50-mile radius. Maybe let's change that to 25-mile radius, and search for available substitutes. And now the system says, oh, there are a bunch, right? There's one at this location. There's a few at this location and over here. So I could go into any of these locations, then I could request that part, right? I could either source or request or put it on hold for myself. So that's inventory. We also have access to a knowledge base. The knowledge base allows me to see what I've viewed recently, what's most popular. Up on the top, I could do a full search, or I could browse by different categories. So let's just go into one of these right now, how to repair air conditioners. And here I can see the details on it. I can walk through it. There may be a video, there may be links, there may be images. I'm going to mark this as helpful. I'll give it a 4-star, and I can put in needs to reflect the current model or the software upgrade or whatever it is, right? So it allows me to provide feedback on all of that as well. One of the last things I wanted to show for this is my team gives me visibility to all of my peers. And from here, I can see if they're on shift or off shift. Maybe I need to contact Alex. I can send him an SMS or I could call him directly. So that is what I wanted to share from that perspective. The next scenario I wanted to go through, let's see, am I sharing up here?
Yes, you're back to the presentation deck.
Excellent. The next is the technician debrief process. So we're going to go back to the mobile app, and we're going to review our work order task, the asset, our directions. We're going to start travel, start work, browse the knowledge base, record our tagout, lockout, tagout, or any type of safety inspection, consume parts, record expenses, upload photos, get a signature capture, etc. So let's take a look. And share my screen again. All right, so here we are back in the mobile app. And I'm going to look at my schedule, the full keypad and display failure. I'm going to first review the details of this. I would review again the account, the asset. Maybe based on the location, I'm like, I'm not quite sure where that is in Colma. Let me click on the directions and it will say, well, this is a native mobile app and you have Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze in here. So you can use any of those as your navigational tools. So it can help me get there faster. I've reviewed the details. I've reviewed the service history, all that. So I'm ready to accept this job. And that may be part of an escalation process. Maybe once I'm assigned something, I have a certain amount of time to accept that job before it gets escalated. Now I could click start travel. I'm driving. I get there, I can click start work. These transactions are, we have the ability to automatically capture your geolocation when you click on those transactions, or maybe something as simple as every 5 minutes, ping that device. Now, there are certain situations, maybe certain states, or if you're a union state or a union city, that is a faux pas. You're not allowed to do that. So we can certainly disable that feature as well, but many organizations see great value out of capturing those geolocation data. So now I'm in that work order in work mode. And one of the first things I might want to do is see if there are any safety inspections or questionnaires. So there's router repair checklist, and this might be part of like a lockout tagout process. And I can, record any level of detail, any other comments, and submit that. Now that I've done that, maybe I also want to browse the knowledge base. So browsing the knowledge base shows me any relevant knowledge articles pertaining to that work order, and I can again review them and thumbs up or 5-star or comment on them. Now, at this point, maybe I'm ready to consume parts. So we can see that there are no parts that were requested for this job, none that were used or removed at this point. So maybe I want to remove a part, and it shows me all the parts that are there that I could pull out. Or maybe I simply just want to consume a part. I'm going to consume the blade fuse. And so now you can see that blade fuse has been consumed. Maybe I'll consume another Cat 6 cable, and I'll consume, I need 2 of them for this job. So now we can see the parts that have been consumed. Now that I've done all that, let me go back in there. Now that I've done all that, I could either close out the work, or maybe I want to log incidentals. Those would be my expenses, or record time. The system can automatically record time as well. Some organizations want the option of someone being able to manually record as well. So I've browsed the knowledge base, I've documented my safety inspections, I've consumed parts, perhaps I've removed parts, I've recorded incidentals. So now I'm ready to close this out. So I put in any final closing notes, close out that task. And in closing out that task, perhaps it makes sense to get a signature from that customer. I want to show them, here's what you're signing for, here's the work that was done against this asset, here are the parts we've consumed, here's the time. So my travel time, 4 seconds in travel, I'm that fast. 3 minutes to actually work on that work order. We can accept and confirm and submit their timesheet. And now go to the activity stream where a PDF has been generated of that actual work that was performed. And that is that portion of the presentation. So let's go back into scenario 3. For scenario 3, we're going to show the offline experience where the technician is going to review their schedule, start their work. We find out we're offline, doesn't have to skip a beat. They can still continue doing their work. And then when they get back in coverage, they can make a decision. Do I want to go online right now, or do I want to wait? Maybe I know that this is kind of a spotty area. So even though it says I'm online, maybe I need to wait till I'm a couple miles closer so I'm in stronger coverage. So let's take a look. And here I've got this one pre-recorded.
Daisy starts her day with her device connected to the internet where she has full access. But if she finds herself without coverage, the mobile app automatically switches to offline. You may notice some of the icons are lighter now, as some features like maps and asset lookup aren't available while offline. So Daisy can start working on a task where she can see relevant details even while she's offline. She has access to the attached knowledge articles to help her troubleshoot the issue. Here she's viewing articles on common safety issues. Now, she can also view details about the asset and its subcomponents, including service history, as well as upcoming work orders. Now, armed with this information, Daisy can complete relevant questionnaires while offline in support of internal or regulatory documentation needs. Of course, she can both remove and consume the necessary parts, accurately decrementing or adjusting inventory from her trunk stock to maintain the integrity of stock. She may also need to document any expenses or incidentals pertaining to the work order task. Note all of these actions, whether it's consuming parts, documenting questionnaires, updating attachments, recording expenses. All of these actions are recorded in her outbox, and technicians then are notified once they're back in coverage. We don't automatically sync in case they're in a spotty area. However, we allow the technician to decide when to sync their changes.
So hopefully you saw that there you can seamlessly jump to offline. You don't have to take any other action. Yes, there are some things like the maps and calendars that you don't have access to, but you can perform that full debrief while you're offline. All right. The last scenario I wanted to show as we're getting closer, and I want to leave time for Q&A, is that of mobile setup. I want to show you how easy it is to enable this. You've got ServiceNow set up. What do you have to do to set up mobile, right? And then from there, we'll also say, well, now that I've got mobile running, what if I want to add other rules and fields and objects and actions? So we'll use the mobile app builder for that. So what we'll do is we will go into our configuration setting. And within the configuration setting, there are things that we can view. For example, the ability to define whether or not you need to qualify new requests or whether the agent has to accept or reject tasks. Right? We can go into our add-ons, and this is where you define things like that signature capture. Are we going to support that signature capture process? We're going to automatically generate the PDF order summary. Are we going to do it with the baseline order summary, or are we going to use a document template to create a more custom summary? And if we do, what exactly is that template? So that's how you define all of that. But now let's go to, so that's what you need to do to invoke and enable the mobile experience. Now, if we want to make changes to the mobile app, we can launch Mobile App Builder. Mobile App Builder, and there are a lot of different apps that we have out of the box. There's a nice tour that will walk you through the process and taking actions. But here, I happen to know I want to search for field service, and I want to search for field service mobile. That's what I want to configure. In here, there are a number of different objects that are available to me. Maybe I want to look at the asset, and I've got the asset record screen that I want to look at. Within that asset record screen, are there other fields that I would like to invoke? So here it's giving me a representation of what the UI looks like for this experience and this type of object. And here I can actually leverage a card and predefined cards and use different icons and alert settings and data items. And then I can even mark. So remember when we did the asset lookup, there is the ability to create work order. And then from here, I can even define whether or not something is available while offline. So there's a toggle to say, hey, I want to show this data while offline as well. So the Mobile App Builder makes it easy for you to make those changes, whether they're fields or objects or actions that you want to expose on the mobile app and make available offline as well. So those were the scenarios I wanted to show. We've got about 12 minutes. So in a few moments, we're going to look at the Q&A. But as a reminder, we talked about the role of the technician and the challenges that they face. Namely, we talked about access to data, confidence in the inventory that's reflected in the system, the integrity of it, and then the ability to debrief seamlessly, whether connected or offline. We went through some demonstrations. I gave an overview of the mobile app. We went into the technician debrief process so that they could complete all of that work, the questionnaires, the knowledge, the the checklists, the inventory, the parts consumption, incidentals or expenses, timesheets, closing it out, signature capture, generating the PDF. We also showed the scenario in offline mode as well, and how those how that seamless transaction is experienced from the perspective of the technician, how they can just seamlessly start working. They might not even see the notification that they're offline, but it shouldn't matter to them because they can do all their work. How we save all that to the outbox, and when they are back in coverage, they can choose whether or when to sync that outbox back up to the server. And then we discussed how to set up the mobile and configure the mobile. And there are a few other steps besides that as well, to make sure that you have mobile set up. Before you can even set up that the mobile configuration, you need to have these plugins enabled. Right? So these plugins, the mobile app, and if you're doing advanced part sourcing and time recording, these are specific plugins to make that set of functionality available for the mobile. There is also great system documentation in here. And beyond that, I'd love for you to review these scenarios, try this out directly from your own mobile app, whether you download it and you do it in that test mode, that try it mode, or you connect the app directly to your own instance. Here's an example of our documentation. It's pretty powerful. There's a lot of great detail in this for how to set things up, how to configure, how to define, how to set rules, how to define your cache, etc. I did mention that you can download and try this out yourself. So Google Play or the App Store, when you launch the app, all you do is you click on the ellipsis and you say try with demo account. I've built it to reflect, I believe, the Chicago area. And within that Chicago area, you can see work orders, you can see inventory, you can debrief your work, you can browse the knowledge base, etc. So we're going to get to Q&A in a minute. This is our last reminder before we get to Q&A. We have our ongoing series, this event series. You're going to have access to this link, or you can take a photo of this and go directly to the page to see upcoming events as well. And then we also we've curated a field service playlist on YouTube. And I believe we've posted this link in the chat, or you can take a photo of this as well. There's 16 or 17 videos, most of them under 3 minutes, but a few of them are a little bit longer than that as well. And that leads us to Q&A. So there are a couple out here. One says, our technicians are given the ability to plan their workloads each day at the start of their shift based off of the queue. Is there a plan to include drill down or filtering UI elements based off of entitlement or SLA instead of priority? That way, technicians can see more details on how critical a specific work order task is as opposed to just priority. Let's see. So filtering off of entitlement or SLA. So today you would need to configure the SLA time frame in there or entitlement time frame in there, and then invoke that against the filter. That's something that has been suggested before. It is on the roadmap. I don't know how far down the roadmap that is at this point, but yes, it's one, it's something you can configure yourself. Two, it is on the roadmap. The next, is the field service mobile app different than the ITSM agent mobile app that we're using now? The answer is no. It's the same exact app. Based on who you're logged in as, you're going to have access to different sections at the bottom. If you remember in the mobile app, at the bottom of the screen, we had inventory, we had knowledge, we had my work, right? You may have your own section for ITSM. So if you've got a technician, or I'm sorry, a user who's licensed for both ITSM and field service, they'll see all of that in there. However, if they're only licensed for ITSM, they'll only see their incidents and related data in the app. If they're only licensed for field service, they'll only see what I showed you. So it's depending upon what you're licensed for, but it's the same app either way. All right. I love these questions. There's a question about the exposing other, what does this say? Let me get back to it. How do I expose other elements under the asset? I think I started to show that in the mobile app builder. We just didn't have enough time to go in and see a lot of detail on this. But within the mobile app builder, you select that asset object like I did, and then you navigate to the related lists, and you can say, well, I want to see the entitlements, I want to see the warranties, I want to see the service history, I want to see the audit trail, whatever that level of detail is. Or maybe you just want to see a specific field exposed there. So that's how you can visualize or update all of that. It looks like those are the questions that we have. I believe that's it. Yes. All right. So I want to thank you all for your time. I want to remind you there are upcoming webinars as well. Please feel free to join. We've got that one again coming mid-August or August 22nd on field service contractor experiences. And I want to thank you all for your time. Again, this is recorded. We will post it on the ServiceNow community. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.